Today we're doing a comic book review for you guys, which it's been a while since we've done one. This book, man, this book was a toughie. Which today we're reviewing Howard the Duck, the Complete Collection, Volume 1, which is written by Steve Gerber and with art by Colan and Val Mayerik, though he or she only did the first couple issues. It has an introduction by Gerber's wife and daughter, and the book ends with not promotion, like extra stuff, like promotions from magazines and stuff. So it collects issues. Beard 19 of Man-Thing 1974, issue 1. Howard the Duck 1976, issues 1 through 16. Annual 1, Marvel Treasury Edition 12, and material from Giant Size Man-Thing 4 through 5, written by Steve Gerber. Illustrated by Val Mayerik, Frank Bruner, John Buscema, Gene Colan, Sal Buscema, and more. So, and this book is rated 18+. And it's 39 Canadian, 35 US. So I picked this up because, like I told a lot of people in the other videos, I watched a video by I think what's his name, Bianca Zombies or whatever, who's not a girl by the way. And he was saying in a video talking about that some comic book artists who got in a lot of heat from the press. I can't remember who. He worked on he worked on Nick Fury, Agent of S.H.I.E.L.D. back in the 70s, and the guy was saying how 70 comics were the best, was the best time period for comics. So I picked up a bunch of 70s, stuff Fantastic Four, this. I picked up some Justice League. I don't know, Justice Society. I don't know what decade that was, but that's old. And I picked up Adam Warlock, the Jim Starlin collection. So I read this, and I watched some videos by comic book geezers, and they have they said this character Howard the Duck was cool. So I thought I'd pick it up, and boy, did I not enjoy this book at all. Which took me what, 3 weeks? I think it was it's been a month since I've done a comic book review, so that's how long it took me to read this book. And it's the thing about this book where it's just, what's gonna make it or break it for this book is whether or not you like the character of Howard the Duck, which Howard the Duck is basically Bill Burr if he was a midget and he was a lazy bum. That's pretty much what Howard the Duck is. Which, Howard the Duck was first introduced in Man-Thing, where you have this story about Jennifer Kale, who's the human protagonist of the Man-Thing books, who gets recruited by she's having nightmare scenes of different worlds and stuff, where you have these all these different armies from different realities are fighting for this tower, which is, the tower is owned by a wizard, right? And this wizard recruits Jennifer Kale and her friends, and Man-Thing and this Conan the Barbarian looking dude, and Howard the Duck to fix the nexus of all realities, which some demon is trying to take over, right? And that was cool. And Howard the Duck pretty much was introduced in that, where he looks very different in that issue, where he basically looks yellow, right, and doesn't look like Donald Duck at all from Disney. Which later on he totally looks like Donald Duck with a suit and a stogie, as he calls it, which is a cheap. I think a stogie is a cheap cigar. I don't know, but it's a cigar. But he gets killed off. He gets killed. He falls while they're traversing the next all realities. He falls into the abyss and wakes up in Cleveland, Ohio, the home of Charles Bishop, not Charles, is it Charles Bishop? I can't remember. El Presidor, also the home of the Cleveland Browns, where he is jobless because and desolate because nobody will hire him because he's a duck, even though like people think he's a dwarf wearing a duck suit, but yeah, he's a duck. He has no special powers at all. Um, and befriends Beverly Switzer, who's on the cover, by the way. He looks a lot like fucking what's her name? Not Shira. Red Sonja. Which that's an issue where he's trying to kill himself. He's trying to kill himself, and he finds this power. It has this girl locked in there with another wizard character called I forget his name, but his thing is like he's an accountant and he's really good at math and finances and stuff, and he equates like magic with financial terms. He tries to send the duck on a quest to find the calculator of destiny or whatever the fuck. And he brings back like a giant monster, like a griffin. And Peter Parker was sent to Cleveland, Ohio to look for a talking duck by J. Jonah Jameson. He ends up teaming up with Howard the Duck. Does not give a shit that like Howard the Duck kills the magician at the end, which Howard the Duck, like, despite having no powers, kicks ass a lot and is able to. And most of the villains he fights, he kills. By the way, which he has a lot of goofy villains. Like what was some of them? You had like the Turnip Man, the what's it called? The Beaver, who was like this Canadian domestic terrorist or some shit. Which and after a while, sorry, I had a video processing while I was doing this. You have basically a bunch of single issues where he fights like random villains, and eventually he decides to leave Cleveland for New York, where he befriends this like country music star who convinces him to run for president. Which the Howard the Duck running for president arc in this book, which is pretty long by the way, was fucking killer, man. It was pretty bad. After that, he gets in team ups with the Defenders. There's a point where he gets after the election where he loses, he gets thrown into an asylum where he goes crazy. Turns out there's this like a Nazi scientist there performing like satanic experiments with this Korean Christian cult guy, where like Howard the Duck and Damon Hellstrom, which I also have a Damon Hellstrom book, but I'm waiting till like October to review that. Team up. There's a point where Damon's like Damon is like the son of Satan, but he has like a demonic half, and his demonic half possesses Howard the Duck, which there's tries to kill Beverly, which at that point he had split up with Beverly and was with Wanda. I'm not exactly sure how to pronounce her name because she has a speech impediment. Speech impediment, like I kind of have, but hers is a lot worse. And depending on who's drawing her, which they changed her look a lot. At first, she was kind of ugly looking, and she was like the niece of this old bus lady that thinks Howard is working with the globalists to steal people's kidneys or some shit, poison people's kidneys. So that character was actually pretty funny, right? But most of the time, like the book, there's some jokes that hit, but like I feel like a lot of them miss. right? And then like there's also a part where like you have the special annual where Howard and friends, uh, which is one of another character was Paul Same, who like Howard the Duck and friends live at, who was like a villain in one of the earlier issues, who was called the Winky Man, who whenever he went to sleep, he would turn into a vigilante and beat the shit out of people with a candle with that different different magic powers and shit, which Howard defeated but didn't kill. Which there is a funny issue in this book, the Howard the Duck annual, where like Beverly and Linda buy like a magic carpet and get transported to not Baghdad but Bag Mom, which wow, very clever, Steve Gerber. And Paul and Howard the Duck find like a magic lamp with a genie, but the genie doesn't ever come out of the lamp. He just like blows out like smoke messages out of the lamp and gives them wishes, performs like basic wishes, which gets them to Bag Mom, where they team up with a bunch of thieves to rescue Beverly and Linda, who were captured by the king of that country. I forget what they call what do you call the king of a Muslim country? I can't remember. Not Cal. Cal was like the Mongols, wasn't it? I can't remember. The Sultan. Let's just call it the Sultan, right? Whose son is like who his son was trying to sell out the country to to the oil companies, right? So like you have some like geopolitical commentary there, which that issue was cool. After that they go on a Mediterranean cruise, which that issue was kind of funny, and they get beached at like some like island of Dr. Moreau kind of place by this villain called Dr. Bong. And then you go to the last issue, and it's not a real issue. It's basically like a fucking essay with story pages about how Steve Gerber couldn't write Howard the Duck issue 16 in time, so he has this like essay where he tries to he makes like a essay about like deadline crunch and shit, like deadline doom, where he's like where he's so stressed out. Basically, he creates a story where he's like trying to make you feel bad for how hard it is to be a fucking comic book writer, which is like based off the stuff I've read. I'm not, and the quality, I'm not too sympathetic, because I did not enjoy this book at all. I thought the art was cool. I like the fact that this is basically a comedy story with like lots of different goofy villains, and the comic book art is drawn like serious. I like that, but like overall, I have the character is fucking annoying, kind of an asshole, and not very sympathetic at all. And it's the thing where it totally depends on whether or not you like this book. Is totally dependent on whether or not you like Howard the Duck, because like he's the main character, and he's like the book is written around him, right, and his goofy adventures, which I forgot to mention when he teamed up with like he teamed up with like a bunch of different characters, like the Defenders. Daredevil and Black Widow have a cameo during the Man-Thing issues, which is the book starts off with, where Howard the Duck changes outfits a couple times, where like at one issue he becomes like he dresses up like the Shang-Chi, the Master of Kung Fu, which that issue was actually pretty good, though he forgets near the end, after a couple issues he forgets Quack Fu, which in the Fearsome 4 review, somebody asked him in that book, "Hey, don't you know Quack Fu?" And he's like, "That was a joke." Well, according to this, he actually did know Quack Fu, and there's like an issue where he has like Doctor Strange superpowers, and Damon Hellstrom, which I already said that, but yeah. Honestly, guys, if I were to give this a rating, I would say it's a. I was leaning between either a 5 or a 6, but I'm gonna go with 5.5. Unless you like the Howard the Duck character, I don't recommend reading this at all, man. Which it I would say like read up on the characters, see if you would like it, or like pick up an issue or two. Yeah, like I did not enjoy this at all, man. Yeah. So I don't think I'll be picking up more Howard the Duck. Uh, yeah. So sorry for you Howard the Duck fans. I'm starting to think there was a reason why the Howard the Duck movie sucked, and it didn't have anything to do with George Lucas. Okay. I think it was all dependent on the fucking character, right? So yeah. So our next review, I honestly haven't decided yet, but um, you know what? We're gonna do Voltron Year One. I that's been in that stack for a long time, and I think it's time we review it. All right, guys. Peace.